Welcome to the Drone Network, the only podcast in the air and on the airwaves. I am your host, Bryce Bladen, and on this show, we document the tech, economics, and people piloting the world's largest standardized drone imagery network. Each episode, we explore how drones are reshaping industries, creating new economic opportunities, and literally changing how we see the world. On today's episode, I talk about what it's actually been like being a drone pilot for the past decade. Today's guest is Benji Nevatt, aka Bluegrass Dronography. Benji's been running a drone business in far western Kentucky for 2 years at the time of this episode's recording. He's also been licensed since 2017 when he worked as a drone operator for the police department. He flew his first flights with the Spexi app on the LayerDrone network in May 2025. And now, I am so fortunate to have him as a guest on today's show. Benji, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Bryce. How are you?
Quite well. What I am really excited about, though, is learning more about what you've been doing with drones for the better part of a decade. Maybe you can give us a quick overview.
Yeah, for sure. I've been worked for a police department for about 10 years, and we started a drone program when I was in that department, and we were able to get a DJI drone, if you can remember Inspire 2, those big old honking things. And so I was asked to learn how to fly it and learn how to use it and actually use it for the department. And I got study for the Part 107. I became pretty proficient in it, and I was detached to our SWAT team at the time and helping them out with missions. And what I would do with that would be I would fly it when they got called out, look at perimeters, look at suspects. We had thermal imagery on it as well. So I was able to see and communicate that back to our squad leaders and be able to help them out so they know exactly what was going on ahead of time. Also, we used it for patrol use, and when suspects would run away from police, and we'll set up perimeters, be able to fly that drone up and be able to throw the thermal cameras on it as well. And also we did surveillance throughout the time I was there with special operations on people. And so we got to use it quite a bit in our department, and it kind of grew from there. And then back in 2024, I finally got back into the industry and created a new business for myself, and started that up in February of 2024 and became Bluegrass Dronography since then.
Very interesting. So if I'm understanding that right, you were sort of the catalyst for drones in your police department. Is that correct?
Yes, that was correct. We, and along another officer of mine that worked with me, we both were the operators for that program, and we were able to work with that drone the best we could. And then that's when I believe the micro or the Mavics started coming out, the smaller ones that a little bit less, you can conceal it better, and compared to the big old Inspire 2 floating above, you're kind of hard to stay unnoticed with that thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's the real era where they went from small helicopters to consumer toys.
Right.
But what got you interested in drones? Because you have a very storied history with them. I find most people have either touched drones 15 years ago or are getting into drones now. There are very few that I see having a decade of experience to pull from. Admittedly, we're flexing on that last year, but...
Yeah, I think that what I've seen throughout the decade is the technology that has advanced in the drone industry, and I'm embracing it and utilizing it, and I really think it's interesting to see how they have evolved from years before to what it is now, and what you can do with drones in this industry. There's so many areas of expertise you can have, and the use cases for drones, and that's what's excited me about just being in business for myself as well, because I can reach out to a lot of different clients.
Let's talk about that. You're based in Western Kentucky, Bluegrass Dronography. What's your niche? What do you typically work with clients on?
Well, currently what I do a lot is I've done commercial and residential real estate. I've worked with insurance companies doing roof inspections as well. And I am doing small business marketing now with clients making aerial video for their business, showcasing what they can offer from the sky and adding some ground features as well, ground video with clients.
All right. So 2017, flying drones with the police. 2024, flying drones for yourself for a variety of clients, real estate, roof mapping, things of that effect. What convinced you to fly your first missions on the Spexi app? Geez, almost a year ago in May 2025. What were you hoping to learn or gain?
Yeah, so I heard about Spexi about a year ago from, I don't remember exactly who I heard it from, but I heard about this company and started looking into it and seeing the geospatial imagery advancements that's happening lately with drones. And when I saw that Spexi can offer a low-cost drone, to use a low-cost drone, be able to fly into a zone and map a certain part of a section of a town or city and be able to see it fly by itself, it just amazed me because I never done anything autonomous yet in my career as a drone pilot. And so seeing that the app and how it just works and how it flies, how it takes pictures, it just amazed me because I haven't gotten into that sector of technology yet.
I would be really interested in how it compares with, say, like a client project for folks listening who maybe haven't flown with the Spexi app before. Basically what you do, you have the app, you have your drone, you have your drone controller, you go to a Spexagon, a hexagon with a mission on it, you load up the app, you turn it on, and then your drone takes off. As a pilot, you are responsible for monitoring that drone as it autonomously flies itself to map the Spexagon, depending on wind conditions. Takes about 7-9 minutes thereabouts before it lands itself. And once you upload that data, you get rewarded according to the mission details, usually some cash, always some points, and something to that effect. And by comparison, and one little thing to add, which is Benji brought up, which is the Spexi app works with the most popular consumer drone, the DJI Mini 2, 3, 4, and 4 Pro. I might be missing a Pro in there, excuse me. But I am curious on Benji's side, especially as somebody who in 2017 was working with a drone that more closely resembled an unmanned helicopter than perhaps what we typically think of drones today. How do those missions differ from your typical client work? What's the experience like? What's the drone like?
Yeah, so using a smaller drone, it's been a lot easier for me to get in little spaces where I need to. It also, with the Spexi app, it's undetectable, it seems like, up in the sky. It compared to a big old helicopter drone, people don't notice this stuff in the sky, and they're taking multiple pictures and they are capturing that data that is needed for whatever city or location you're in. And it's just going to be very useful in the industry going forward. I believe this is going to be a technology and a company that's going to advance a lot of other city governments. It's going to benefit construction. It's going to benefit telecommunications, natural disasters. It's been awesome to see in the last year since I've known about Spexi now.
Really great to hear. And to provide some context on something you were saying there for any folks who maybe haven't seen the difference between what I'd refer to as a T-100 style drone that looks like a helicopter and these DJI minis we're referring to. I happen to live near a police station and a police training area. And as a result of that, I do get a lot of the, let's call them low-flying drones of a variety of shapes and sizes nearby. The point of comparison is when you fly a mission with the Spexi app, it's autonomous, but it's also perhaps partially as a result of that highly standardized. So the drones fly at a very specific height from the ground, I believe. Oh gosh, sorry, meters to feet suddenly caught me. This is the border issue. But I was going to say 260, 280 feet. It's in the documentation. Regardless, it is a very specific height for a few reasons, which come to: one, the drones aren't visible and or annoying to people at that height. You can't hear the buzz when it's over 200 feet. Two, you can't capture people's faces at that height. you can see crowds, things of that effect. But 3, you can still capture high-resolution data, things like cracks in the floor. Basically, good enough to see problems, not good enough to invade privacy, which is that sweet spot, especially with a standardized imagery set. And a lot of the problems around privacy at the scale have been, I don't want to say effectively solved, but effectively solved by companies like Google Maps that have figured out how to blur people out on a public data set and things of that effect. Things LLMs are actually quite good at. But that is for folks wondering why Benji might be somewhat interested in a drone that merely hums as opposed to one that bums bombs and looks incredibly intimidating in the sky. I think it's fascinating, the difference between the two. But let's bring it back to you, Benji. I'm getting sick of the sound of my voice. You've been running your business on, I assume, traditional payment rails since you've made it 2 years ago. And as a Spexi pilot, if you've flown a paid mission, you've probably been paid cash. Something that I think is worth discussing is something that LayerDrone and Spexi are planning to do this year, which is moved to a token system, i.e. paying people with a token. Obviously a big change, tokens instead of cash. What was your reaction? What are your concerns? What are your, well, leave it there.
Yeah, so at first, I haven't been able to figure out much about cryptocurrency yet in this industry, but as time goes on, since say probably last February, I'm learning about crypto and tokens and how that works, and I believe this is going to definitely be the way of the future for pilots to get paid for their contributions to this network. I'm excited about it. I'm still learning more and more about it every day, every week, looking at stuff in the cryptocurrency level. But I think it's going to be a good thing. It's going to allow other pilots from other countries to be able to do this kind of work in the future and get paid for it.
Absolutely.
And it's going to be neat.
For sure. And just for context for our listeners, Spexi and the LayerDrone network, highly active in Canada and the US right now. There are even some Spexigons that have been flown on very specific circumstances in Europe, particularly London, I believe. Don't quote me on that, as I'm not sure how much of that is public information, but if you look at explorer.spexi.com, you can find them for yourselves. But that is just to say, when it comes to crypto technology, the things it's good for context, 2017, this was MySpace, and the definition of what it's good for has never changed in my mind. Allow two people to trade value with no one in the middle. And as far as the use cases for that, the ones that I've always pointed to, cross-border payments, trying to scale contributor contributions to the actual value they create, and things of that effect. Now, functionally, and I think this is why it's an important question to ask, it is going to be a point of friction for people. It is something different. And we're obviously hoping for the best and planning for the best. And honestly, planning a little bit for the worst to try and make it as much of a best possible situation regardless. But I digress. It's going to be a change. And we have thousands of pilots on the network now, which makes change very scary. But it's part of the reason why I'm trying to talk to people who actually fly drones as part of their business, who actually contribute to the network and can actually give candid responses. So Benji, I really appreciate it. I do have one more question for you, if you have time.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, one more official question. I might have a few less official ones after, but all right. So been a lot of developments in the US over the past, I was going to say year, but even just the past few months. There's a ban on new DJI devices, which account for roughly 90% of drones in the US. There's new rules that block drone flights near ICE vehicles. And on the flip side, beyond visual line of sight approval for flying multiple drones and the Part 108 license, I believe. Those are all just developments over the past few months. And I'm curious, as a person who operates a drone as a business, are you excited, concerned about any of these developments? How do you see them affecting you?
You know, I think the DJI's been the standard for drone industry ever since I've been in this space. That's all I know is DJI. And having not having it in the US to come in, a new technology, I see that as a concern in my business because I use DJI drones. I don't use any other type of drone. And it is concerning me a little bit about getting those parts, those newest drones that come out, not having that for my clients and not being able to give that data to customers because I don't have the newest and updated version of that DJI drone in my arsenal, you could say. And so I'm a little concerned, but I think throughout time, it's probably going to be lifted, and we're going to see hopefully a change in the industry soon where we can have all the drones come back into the US and utilize them, because this industry is very untapped still, I believe. There's so much money out there, so much use cases for it, and limiting what we can use for work is gonna affect a lot of small businesses like mine. But I think in the long run, it's gonna work it out.
I'm happy to hear that, Benji. I'm gonna ask you that same question in here. I'm gonna hope your answer comes to fruition, because that's the future I'd really like to see. We only have 5 more minutes left, but I'm not sure I even warned you about this. Do you have time for our popular hit segment, Drone or Don't, where I will share 3 interesting facts about drones? 1 is a lie. You tell me which one it is to win. All right. Also, you should know I did this game with Graham, and he failed miserably. Although, to be fair, I always make it about something other than drones, like it's drones in X, or like drones in movies, and it turns out, like, Graham knows drones. He does not know drones in popular films. All right, fun fact number 1. The world's fastest drone is faster than a Formula 1 car and about 70 miles per hour slower than a commercial airliner at cruising speed. That's number 1. Number 2, drones are used to collect whale blow, i.e. whale snot, to study whale health without disturbing them. Basically, they swoop in when whales go in the middle of the ocean. This is a podcast. I'm doing a lot of stuff on camera that is incredibly embarrassing. You will just have to use your mind's eye. This brings me to fun fact number 3. The first autonomous drone was built in 1206 AD by Al-Jazari. For the record, autonomous drone, able to fly itself, not necessarily literal robotics. Okay, fact 1, 2, or 3. Which one's drone and which one's don't?
I think the number 2. I think number 2, the whale.
You think number 2, drones aren't used to collect whale snot?
Yep.
All right. Is there a drum roll in the edit? Let's hope there is. And if not, boy, do I sound stupid. Unfortunately, it's number 3. The first autonomous drone was not built in 1206 AD. That was actually, and to be fair, it was a programmable automaton. It's the world's first robot, effectively, and it served drinks in different sequences. But fun fact, the first actual drone, as it were, the first pilotless aircraft was 200 unmanned balloon bombers used by Austria to attack Venice in 1849. They lit some timed fuses, pushed them all up in the air, primarily off the ground, a few of them off a boat named the Volcano, which became a very ironic name when the wind pushed them back. One landed in Venice, more landed on the boat and in Austria than ever landed in Venice. So the first application of drones and drone warfare happened at once, and it didn't go well. Just for added flavor, the aerial target, British radio-controlled aircraft from the First World War, would be the first drone to fly under human control in March 1917. There's your drone history. Benji, you did very well. You came very close. Thank you so much for playing our game, and thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate the time getting to chat and get to know you. How can our listeners follow up with you? How can they learn more about you? How can they check out Bluegrass Dronography?
Yeah, so I have a website. It's www.bluegrassdronography.com. Also on Facebook, on Instagram, and TikTok. So please check it out if you have time.
Excellent. We will make sure that those are in the show notes as well. Thank you again for your time, Benji, and thank you all for listening. Thanks for being a part of the Drone Network. Subscribe wherever fine podcasts are served to get a new episode every week. And remember to leave us a 5-star review on your podcast app of choice. It helps a lot. Today's show was sponsored by Spexi Geospatial and LayerDrone. Learn more about standardized drone imagery built for global scale at spexi.com. That's SPEXI.com and layerdrone.org. Thanks again for listening.